of Arts and Letters. Nancy Kirkpatrick has served as president of worldwide marketing for Summit Entertainment, a Lionsgate company, for the past 6 years. She was the marketing mastermind behind the 5 Twilight films, which grossed more than $3 billion worldwide. In addition to the first installment of the recently released action-adventure franchise, Divergent, which had a $56 million opening weekend, and The Hurt Locker, which won 6 Academy Awards, including the Best Motion Picture. Prior to joining Summit, she spent nearly a decade as the Executive Vice President of Worldwide Publicity for Paramount's Motion Picture Group. She has been named a Brand Week Marketer of the Year and to the Hollywood Reporter's Women in Entertainment Power 100 list several times. It's now my honor to invite Ms. Kirkpatrick to give the commencement address.
Woo! Good afternoon. Congratulations. Give yourselves a hand. It's a pleasure to be here today. When I was sitting where you are today, more years ago than I care to count, I would never have guessed I would return someday to stand behind this podium. In fact, I was a little surprised when John Broderick reached out to me to be your commencement speaker. Because my years as an undergraduate at Old Dominion were not the college experience you see in the movies. Quite the contrary. When I was a student here, I was working full-time coaching gymnastics and doing some freelance writing on the side, and I commuted an hour each way to school, and parking was always a hassle. Hopefully in the past 30 years, that's improved. There were days I wanted to quit because of it, but I didn't. And over the years, I've gradually learned how well my experiences at Old Dominion prepared me for the different aspects of my life. We all suffer our way to wisdom in different paths. Many of you here today don't know what you're going to do with the rest of your lives. You may not even realize how the experiences you've already had and the things you've already learned will shape the paths you follow. When I was sitting where you are, I didn't have a clue. I had just graduated with a degree in English, and I had no particular networking connections or skills. There was no LinkedIn or Facebook back in my day, and I remember wishing I had a degree from a fancy school like Harvard or Stanford. But you know what? Being from Old Dominion turned out just fine for me, and I wouldn't trade it for any other experience on earth. My years here gave me a whole set of skills I didn't even know I had. I loved gymnastics. I still do. I loved coaching gymnasts, building their abilities skill by skill, step by step, week in and week out. I taught them how to manage their fear and control their nerves and perform under pressure. The one thing I didn't realize was I was teaching myself those skills as well. I also loved writing. Writing was a skill I developed here. Writing movie reviews for the college paper and stories for a local lifestyle magazine about clubs and spa treatments and wedding locations, you know, serious stuff. After graduation, I didn't really have a plan, so my husband and I drove cross country to try and make it in Los Angeles. I guess nobody's had that dream before, right? Well, my husband wanted to write and direct movies, and I wanted to work for the 1984 Olympics that were being held in LA. Well, my husband got his dream, but the Olympics didn't need me. They had thousands of volunteers who were willing to work for free, and I needed to make a living. So I fell back on my writing skills, and I sent my resume to every place I could think of that could use a writer. Ad agencies, PR firms, even movie studios. After all, I'd written movie reviews for the Mason Crown. What more could they want, right? Well, by some miracle, I was called in for an interview in the publicity department at Warner Brothers. The vice president of publicity needed an assistant, and he had already interviewed all of the kids with connections. You know, executive sons and daughters, nephews, nieces, even neighbors, and he just wasn't finding what he was looking for. I remember driving through those historic gates and sitting in this plush Hollywood office, and I was terrified. I was nobody. I was no one. I was from the middle of nowhere, and when the executive told me the job paid $400 a week, that was a fortune to me, and I was even more convinced I wouldn't get it. But I finally relaxed, and I started showing him my writing samples and laughing about the titles. Pamper Me Darling, about spa treatments, or Winning at the Losing Game, about dieting. I was myself, and I got the job, and a few days later, I was working on the lot at Warner Brothers, and my career was underway. At the time, I thought it was part miracle, part sort of lucky accident. It was only in retrospect that I realized an important truth, and that is, we make our own luck. I was better prepared for that interview than I realized. The articles I had written at Old Dominion gave me something the other candidates didn't have: writing samples and actual experience. Coaching gymnastics had taught me how to recognize fear in myself and in others, and how to manage it. The training skills I used to build athletes were skills I would ultimately use to build marketing and publicity campaigns. And most of all, I was myself. It's okay to be yourself. In fact, it's better than okay. The real you is probably 500% better than anybody you can fake. As Oscar Wilde once said, be yourself, because everyone else is taken. Years later, my first boss told me that one of the reasons he hired me was because I was a Virgo with Scorpio rising. Welcome to Hollywood. Well, I've had an incredible journey, and I've done things I could have never imagined when I graduated. I've been in the Oval Office. I've met presidents and the Dalai Lama. I've seen Michael Jordan in his underwear. Carolina blue, by the way. I've walked the red carpet at the Cannes Film Festival with Russell Crowe. And I was at the Venice Film Festival with Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx, and they sang Happy Birthday to me under the moonlight on the Grand Canal. I mean, seriously. Along the way, I've learned a few things, too, that I'd like to share with you. I've learned movie stars are really talented, fascinating people, but they put their pants on one leg at a time. And when they read about themselves in the tabloids, it hurts their feelings, just like it would hurt yours. I've learned that you should love what you do, whether you're a writer, a teacher, a marketing executive, or a carpenter. I couldn't work as hard as I do if I didn't love my work. And you should always keep looking for that job that you will love doing. I learned that you should be nice. Be nice to everyone, because you never know when you will meet them again. One of the producers of our film, Divergent, was a junior staffer at Warner Brothers when I was there. We remained friendly for 30 years, and 2 months ago, we launched a movie franchise together. You will see the same people at different points in your journey through life, so treat them so that they'll be glad to see you every time your paths cross. Hey, I work in a town of big, big dreams, right? I saw Kristen Stewart and Jennifer Lawrence and Shailene Woodley when they were just young girls, about your age, looking for their first break. And I watched them grow into screen goddesses. There is no dream too big to imagine or too incredible to make real. And I learned that with all the excitement of movie premieres and movie stars, it all paled in comparison to the simple pleasures of seeing my kids in a school play or walking on the beach with my husband. I've been married for 32 years and we have 3 amazing kids. My family is my joy. I remember late one night I was freaking out about some interview, and a man named Joe Himes, who was the god of marketing in Hollywood at the time, he walked in my office and reminded me that no one on their deathbed ever said, gee, I wish I'd spent more time at the office. He told me to go home to my family, and he was right. Live your lives in balance. Finally, I learned that, in the words of William Goldman, an Oscar-winning screenwriter, nobody knows anything. I'm reminded of that as I stand here before you today, because none of us really knows anything about the journey on which we're about to embark. Maybe your life will be shaped by a class you've taken, or a professor who taught you, or a friendship you've made. Perhaps your life will be influenced by some incident that seems trivial today, but will grow in importance as the years go by. All you really know is that you've already embarked on a journey that will change your life forever. All you can bring to that journey is an open mind, a strong will, and a compassionate heart. We live in a society where people often focus on the outcome. They forget about the process that takes you there. I'm here to urge you to celebrate the journey itself, wherever it leads you. Celebrate the cross-country trips, the first jobs, the quirky friendships, the random experiences, even the incredibly bad dates. Those are special moments. Someday, they'll be more sacred to you than a nameplate on a door or a title on a business card. In closing, I'd like to mention one other thing that Old Dominion gave me, and that is a sense of place. I grew up in Virginia Beach and went to college here in Norfolk, and today we have a home on the Outer Banks. Some of my most precious moments are spent there. Tidewater is a special, special place. And whether I'm working in Hollywood or going to a movie set in Thailand, it always remains home for me. Find your own special place. It may be here, it may be someplace else, but once you find that special place, cherish it, because it will be the home that welcomes you and sustains you in good times and bad. The best part of the journey is coming home. Thank you for bringing me home today.
Woo!